My name is Mark Weber. I teach journalism, online media, and literary magazine.
What did you have to study in college in order to become who you are now?
Well, I never really studied journalism in college. I have one of my teaching fields is English literature, and my master's is in English literature also. So I think that gave me a good background for what I'm doing now.
How long have you been here at VMT as a teacher?
I started at VMT on the original faculty in 1993, so 25 years so far.
How do you feel to be a part of this VMT community for so long?
Well, I'm proud of being here with VMT. It's been a great experience. I've learned so much. For example, I've never really paid much attention to music. I'm not really a music fan or dance or art. And I've learned so much just from being around students and teachers who perform music, who dance, who, create art. Even students in my classes where their photography and writing, it's something I've learned a lot from.
You've been a teacher here for a long time. What can you say has remained like one of your goals over the years?
Students should succeed. And I kind of look at it, if somebody doesn't do well, then it's my fault. And so I'm always working very hard to try to create situations for students to succeed. And for some, it just means staying out of the way of what they're doing, and others, sometimes you just have to be very active in telling them this is what you do, and just every day have something for them to work towards.
Is there any highlight memories that you have from working here?
There's so many. It's hard to think of one. I know several. I think all the awards that the newspaper has that's on the wall. That's been a big highlight. Just seeing how students are doing as well as anybody anywhere in the country it's gratifying, and just individual successes like in their clip contest when they get an award, whether honorable mention or first, second, third. It's always gratifying to see that. I think our photo shows we have every year is a highlight for many, and it's just I'm amazed by the photos and the art that comes out from everybody. And nowadays with the phone, it's a lot more diverse type of photography and art that I see.
How would you compare VMT students to students that do not attend VMT? Would you say that they're special in any way?
I think the VMT students are motivated. I think they're more goal-oriented because they have a goal in mind, or maybe goals in mind, and they're working towards those goals. And it gives them some sort of guidance to, how would you say, stay on a path that leads them to be successful. And I think a lot of students at like the regular high schools, they just go through all the motions of and going to class, and they eventually graduate. And and here, even if a student doesn't follow his or her fine art into college or into professional life, they still have that background that I think causes them to be successful.
Can you tell me your experience from the transition to the old campus to the new campus?
It's kind of bittersweet for me because I like the old campus because we had, the buildings were scattered. Students had a chance to walk. It was nice to go outside and every block, because I'd keep an eye on kids switching classes. And it was nice to see all the greenery and bushes and things. In my area, it was nice to be around the shrubbery and trees and the green grass and everything else that we had out there. Now I go into the hall and it's just, cement and more cement, or looking out the window. So that part I miss. I think we're in a much better situation for safety here than at the old campus, because there we didn't even have a PA system to communicate with. But I think the transition was kind of bittersweet. I missed the wide open old ways that we had. Here, I think it's just a lot safer situation, and it didn't really take much adapting to get used to just everything being in a smaller physical area.
What are your emotions as the newspaper celebrates its 25th anniversary?
It's just, I can't believe it's been that long. And I know if you go back and compare our early issues to now, there's been a lot of growth, and I've learned ways of what we should do to be successful, and what things I can do to create situations for students to be successful. I think psychologically, a previous principal allowing us money to use newsprint, in other words, having the big pages instead of the little, like, I don't know, cardboard type pages. What are they called? Anyway, instead of just a little newsletter-like thing that we used to be forced to use, and now we have the newsprint, and it looks like any professional paper. That's psychologically a big boost, and just to see the program can just kind of emerge and evolve as media has evolved. And so, it used to be just photos and writing, and now we get into video and audio also a lot.
I know you mentioned earlier that VMT students are very self-motivated and very anxious to reach their goals. Can you say that VMT students have changed the way they go on about themselves over time, or are they still the same?
I think they continue that search for success and the goal setting. I know we have one student who was here in the first year of the school. He's now the vice president of news operations for Telemundo in Arizona. And that's one example, I think, of so many of our students who they find they're successful, and so they continue on that path. And even if they follow a different path, they still set a goal and they work towards that goal. And I think that's something that is intangible, that you cannot measure in testing or any other way, except it's just the drive inside the person. I know there's many students like that in music who have gone on to be very successful in different phases of music.
You've been here from the start. How do you feel to be one of the last men standing?
Well, it's kind of an honor, I think. I know just today we were having a meeting of me and several other people that formed the Medallions Committee, and we were talking about why things were doing, and I was able to draw on examples from the early years of the medallion ceremony, why we did certain things and why we continue to do them. And I think, that having that insight from the early days contributes to the people that are here now, because it gives them some understanding of why we do things the way we do. And, I think we do things because they're successful. And so so they have that background, and at some point, I may no longer be here, but then they can carry on and they'll find the things that work.
What motivates you to come to work every day?
It's exciting. Every day is different. I have good health, so that's been a big blessing. I know in my early teaching career, I had, my daughter, and if she was sick, I'd stay home. And now, I don't have that situation, and I just get up and enjoy coming to teach, and I enjoy associating with students, and I enjoy my teaching colleagues. They're good people to work with, and just, share a few moments sometimes like we get to.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, very likely I'll be retired, because next year will be my 40th year. And so I need to start looking at what lies beyond, the 40th year. And so these things, I don't know yet, but, everything's rushing towards me. And so it starts thinking about what do I do? Okay, so, but 5 years, I'd say reasonably be retired, spending time with grandchildren, spending time with Mrs. Weber.
Is there anything you'd like to add or mention?
Well, I know that when VMT was going to open, and I saw in a LISD employee newsletter, the district was looking for people who had professional experience in what they wanted to teach. And it's like, well, I have experience in journalism because I had worked some full-time in daily newspaper work. So I thought, well, hey, this is fine with me. I can do this. And so I applied, and I was hired. I applied in the spring, and I was hired in the summer. I was at Memorial Middle School at the time. And I said, well, what do I do next? And they said, well, you just get started. And the principal at the time, well, you should know what you're doing. I said, okay. So I just kind of figured it out, and we started, and amongst the students, we had a vote, what should we name the paper? So we got that settled. I got word, well, you all need to have an issue already. So we had an issue, and it just started, and we just kind of evolved from there.
Did you ever picture yourself as a journalism teacher?
Never.
Like, picture yourself where you are now?
Never. I would have never thought. Had I gone back to, say, when I was teaching middle school, and I would have never thought that I would be here. And even in the early years of VMT, I just figured, well, sooner or later they'll get tired of me and they'll transfer me to another school, and that's fine. It's just how things go in teaching sometimes. So, fortunately, the district has allowed me to stay and to let the program develop where it goes and let it evolve. And really, it's kind of like an amoeba. It just kind of evolves and grows and does its own thing. And it's just kind of been interesting to see where we were, say, even 10 years ago to where we are now.
Is there any advice you'd like to give to future teachers that are going to work here at VMT, or teachers who have been here for a long span of time?
I think probably the biggest change for teachers who were somewhere else, say especially the academic teachers, and they're used to, whoever just comes in, and they have to teach them, and then the class ends and the students move on, would be to be open and receptive to students who have an arts background or communications background like the students do here, because they're a lot more interactive and goal-oriented, and I think curious, and just talking and presenting a lecture or a lesson, I don't think would be as effective as actually having lessons that allow students to be interactive with the teacher or with each other. And occasionally I get to see this in action with other teachers where something is very interactive and students are lively and participating. And I think this is what sets us apart from the homeschools, and then it shows on our STAR scores.
Do you see the VMT community continuing to grow, as well as the newspaper itself?
I think the paper will, yes. I know the VMT community, with the district creating they're changing the Figueroa Magnet School to an early college, and then another early college at the Martin Health Science. I think it'll be a lot more challenging to recruit students. And but then I think those that we get, will
want to be here.
Will want to be here, yes, and want to take advantage of studying fine arts or communication. And I think the school will still be successful.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.